attractive species that I went through is the Desmodium heterocarpon. But this one is very interesting, that Butia superba, that climber pollas. That climbing pollas is very interesting. It's not usual, but we got it in plenty in that national park. This is very common, Tephrosia purpurea and Desmodium gigantea. That Eclipta prostrata, and these are some Asteraceae elements: Eclipta prostrata, Centratherum, and Thelminticum, Benvelia, Acmela, and Penadrella nodiflora. These are representatives of Asteraceae. And Premna, Herbaceae, Anisomelis indica, Pogostemon, Elsolgia, blanda. These are the some representatives of Lamiaceae. And Acanthaceae. I just represent some photographs. Hemigraphis latibrosa, Nelsonia, Canescens, Petalidium, Vallerodis, Justicia betonica. And among monocotyledons, that Poaceae is the largest family among monocots. 51 species is present here, the 32 genera. And this is and one very thorny bamboo. This is with full of spines, and even its comes pathe that you can see. This pathe is also very spiny. That is actually it. I actually got hurt by it actually, and ultimately it bleeds. Anyway, these are the parts of collections field botany, and these are some elements of Poaceae: Apluda, Mutica, Digitaria bicornis, and Eurocloa reptans. This one is also very rare. Ledibauria revoluta. This is very rare. And this one now belongs to anyway. Among Cyperaceae, actually, Cyperus compactus, Cyperus deformis, Cyperus iria, Cyperus hespan, Niveus. These are very common, and some have been got transferred to other genera like Ilingia and Fimbristylis. Some Fimbristylis is also very common there. Some couple of species is also actually present there. These are some Orchidaceae, some beautiful orchids are actually. I got some beautiful orchids on there. This one is these two are actually epiphytic, and that's Oberonia falconeri and Rhynchostylis retusa. These two are totally epiphytic, and Havenaria plantigenaria and Havenaria falcifera. These two species are terrestrial. These are some elements of Dioscoriaceae. Diasporia actually plays a role in local markets also, like many other plant species that I have presented in my later presents PowerPoints. Diasporia bulbifera, and this is Diasporia pentaphylla, and this is Diasporia hispida. These two actually, Diasporia pentaphylla and Diasporia hispida, these two are actually very uh, has got a resemblance, very close resemblance in between them morphologically. But if you study thoroughly, you can see that it has got some spines in its stem, and as you can see here in insect, you can see that its inflorescence is very small if you compare it to Diasporia pentaphylla. There are some useful friends. That is, I was telling you about that Diasporia is playing an important role in local market. That I've seen in many places that a tuber of Diasporia has been sold in many local huts and bazaar. And that's this you can see that tribal men are selling that Diasporia tuber as vegetable in market. These are actually tuber of Diasporia pentaphylla and Diasporia bulbifera. These are actually being cut into small pieces and washed to in running waters. And after that, they used to consume those tubers. And medicinal plants are they also used to sell medicinal plants there. Some I have just put some common that you can see that Ludwigia hescipifolia that is being used as abortifacient and menstrual disorders, and Eclipta prostata is a very common one, and it's the exceptional use that I got from that area is used as a antidote, and as the Dendrophtha falcata, uh, that heavy parasitic plant, it is being used as an anti-fertility element. And this is a typical, as you can see, that oil extraction of mohua seed. This is the device used in the villages to extract. And I have seen in only one area, actually, in only one house, that when I actually got that information that someone actually prepares that oil from the mohua seed. I went there and captured those photographs uh, to get that to present that in front of my august audience. That you can see that oil extraction of maduka is being done locally, and it's very useful in as an emollient, and it is used in skin disorders, some skin disorders, and very useful in as a emollient actually. And these are some. It is this Clistanthus collinus is one species. This is actually coming under AICN red list, but it's in vulnerable category that have been collected. But what I think it must be reconsidered. But because in my area, the population of that Clistanthus collinus is quite, I think, satisfactory. You cannot say that it is under any threat, or I mean, the population is quite good. And this one is Acorus calamus. This is also, as you know, is very rare. And that one new genera, the key presentation that the key points that I want to present in front of you, that one new genera has been reported from that area, the Soliva and Trifolia. The Soliva was not previously reported from that Jharkhand, Bihar, Jharkhand, uh, and that has now been reported by me from that area. And this one is also new uh, report, distributional report of Brainia. There are a couple of species. I just represent one, the Brainia retusa, belongs to the Phyllanthesi. Uh, that is being reported for the first time from the state. These are some common threats that we can see when we go through that collection procedure for a couple of years. You can see the increase of population. You can see in front of your eyes that the area that has been the anthropogenic pressure has been uh, not reducing, but day by day it is really aggregating to a very alarming area. And the huge extraction of forest produce that is also been noticed. Hello. And man-made
Yeah,
forest.
yeah, go ahead. You are audible.
Yes, sir, we can hear you. Kushal sir,
Okay,
we can hear you.
okay. And as you can see that these are the main actually threats that we all are. I think our honorable PCC officers and DFOs, but all are present here. That we all agree that some sporadic habitation of human being actually in between, that's core in between some ranges, and some habit of human populations actually creating many problems. like grazing is a very common problem in any protected areas in India. I think grazing by the cattle's common cattle's, and sometimes we can uh, encounter some man-made forest fire by local inhabitants. And the grazing I have already mentioned, the domestic cattle, and the extraction of forest produce sometimes is huge, and it is not desirable that all that comes in on the floor of forest floor that has been taken away. That is also will be restricted. And the encroachment is I have already mentioned. I can show you some images actually that you can see that from this area is actually rich in vegetation. Also, this is this in between. There are some. It's a small village and some farmland that you can see. That actually it's that is why that the relocation of that inhabitants is taking place nowadays. And actually we also faced some problems whenever we used to visit that area. People used to think that we want to relocate them somehow, so we have to face those things also. Anyway, the grazing is a very common situation, but failing is a bit, I think, below the normal rate that I went through in many places. Failing is a bit below, and the as you can see the man-made forest fire and the conservation strategies. What I think is as we have already that we have NBWL, National Board of Wildlife, that provides our policy framework for wildlife conservation, the National Wildlife Action Plan that have been introduced in 2002. And India's conservation planning is based on the philosophy of identifying the protecting representative of the wild habitats across all the ecosystems. That is our main philosophy, and we are working towards this. And conservation issues could be tackled with close coordination between forest and central and state departments. Those organizations like ours, Zoological Survey of India, Wildlife Institute, who are working constantly in field and monitoring the uh, changes in the ecosystem, and that conservation strategies that is continuing from the previous page, that is burning of grassland should be restricted, because burning of grassland is good for some couple of things, because uh, population of grass flora is fodder grasses is being actually mm, inhabited with that, but that herbaceous flora is being very much affected with that. And physical removal of weeds is very essential. It's not it's a very Herculean task. It's not possible to eradicate all those weeds uh, within a stipulated frame of time, but still this practice is running, and it's I think uh, it is a continuous process until we got some solid one. Replanting of infested areas with supplementary fodder grasses that have controlled burning, and adequate forest cut, that is a must. I think nowadays when we actually left in 2019, that time I think many have started joining that PTR area. The forest administration has to implement a working plan in such a way that people actively involved in the plantations. I was hearing from all my DFOs, and as you already mentioned that all the forest department actually want to build up a very close relation with the local people to mm, but our aim to make it happen that fringe inhabitants that they decide in between the in some pockets, that if they can be relocated, that will be very good for that area of the biodiversity of that area. And these are some conservation strategies. This is common, but and I just express my deep sense of gratitude to my director and PCCF Jharkhand and DFO Core and DFO Bapa, who have actually provided me any necessary facilities and act like my guide whenever I went there. And my sincere thanks to my head of office and ex head of office and my present head of office. Hello, hello.
जी
Yeah,
जी सर जी सर
go
जी सर
ahead.
सुनाई दे रहा है
Acha. Thank you for hearing, having patient on my for hearing me. Thank you very much. Yes, any questions?
yes
Chair,
sir I have a question with the permission of the chair again
Yes, sir.
Dr. Ghoshal
Yes, sir.
unfortunately बहुत disturbance है बहुत
Disturbance
disturbance
है sir.
Dr. Ghoshal, unfortunately, when we speak about wildlife, people often associate that with fauna
Yes,
and
sir.
invariably the charismatic megafauna. So I think your work, lays an emphasis that flora is also part of wildlife.
Of
Sir,
course, sir.
एक बात आपसे जानना चाहूंगा कि in
Yes,
your
sir. Please.
floristic documentation of this protected area, did you come
Hmm.
across any new species in the sense of, yeah, so they were new records or they were range extension
Is that
as
this?
against the
Yes.
previous British flora database?
Yes, sir. There are many actually that Soliva anthemifolia was not recorded in that British flora. That has been
जी
recorded
सर
later on, and there are many
जी सर
actually. There are one species of Ranunculus,
जी जी
pseudopygmeus, that is also new to India. I think it's only is present in Himalayan areas, and it is now been found in Hitler. So there are,
thank you
yes, sir.
thank you sir amazing
Thank
work
you. Thank you, sir.
Goshal, I am
Yes,
Dr.
sir.
Pandilgan.
Namaste,
I
sir.
just want to have two
How are
clarifications.
you, sir?
Yeah,
Nice,
fine.
nice seeing you, sir, after many days, sir.
Yeah. Thank you. It gives a good opportunity for
Oh,
all
sir,
of us
you.
to meet.
Sir.
But you have told that so many villages are almost in that 200 square kilometer within the national
226.
park.
Hmm.
What will be the human wildlife conflict there? How they are settling?
Sir, this is very common, as you know. What I can tell you. I mean, this is very common as actually forest guards and for the forest department actually want to restrict the movement of the local inhabitants in the core areas,
Yeah.
particularly. But sir, sometimes it happens if even they enter the core areas and
Yes.
their cattle is being attacked by any wild animal,
Yeah.
and they will come to that forest area and starting dharna for that muavzara and all that, sir, for the
Okay.
compensation. So it is a
Whether
very common picture, sir, and sir, we have made actually very awkward situations many a times because that uh, relocation concept is actually been introduced that time only. I mean,
because
I
because plenty of cattle are inside the forest,
hmm,
naturally it invites the predator.
yes,
That
obviously,
will be there. That
obviously,
is
and whenever the predators actually attack those cattle, they will come
yes.
to that forest department and claim their compensation.
Okay.
This is very
And
common, sir.
yeah, and you have told that there is a menace of exotic species.
Uh,
How many invasives are there actually? Roughly, can you
Invest
tell?
10 to 12 are very common, just Cascuta, Eupatorium, Lantana, and some Asterisks. Those are also actually, that's the Soliva that I have reported, na, that is actually became very invasive in our area. As you know, sir, that
Okay.
invasiveness actually started when they actually migrate from the original space to the other areas. They become invasive sometimes, and
Whether Mycania is reported?
Mycania is also yes.
Mycania
Mycania.
is more dangerous than other
But
things.
Mycania, sir, beside Mycania, actually, I noticed in many small patches. Parthenium is also there nowadays. Parthenium actually in 4 years, I have seen Parthenium has grown very rapidly, and
Oh,
Cascuta was already there. Cascuta was very much there, and Euphautorium odoratum was already there. Promolina odorata, it was already there, and Lantana is profuse. And as usual, every year they used to try to eradicate all those things, but see, after seed formation, as you know, sir, it is impossible to get eradicated.
Actually, Lantana
Yes,
in
sir.
Madhya Pradesh,
Yes, sir.
Pachmari Biosphere Reserve,
Sir.
these tribals collect that stem and use for making baskets. That
That is.
type of things, if they implement, they
Hmm.
can annually they can harvest, and then slowly the population will come down.
That if that can be introduce that area, okay, you can make that basket. Uh,
Yes, the
that is
baskets are very aromatic also. Actually, it
uh,
emits a good aroma, and
it has
the
got aroma.
forest department has trained them just
Mm.
before flowering. They try to harvest.
Mm-hmm.
So that way, in over a period of time, it has now managed in a biosphere, Pachmari Biosphere Reserve.
मैंने और कुछ भी और I have actually मैंने advised them many things actually. I wanted to establish one silviculture actually department
Yes,
there. That is very important actually. I think in many areas of our Jharkhand beer we are lacking behind because of we don't have any silviculture department, because it is very much needed. Whenever we collect some, because there are inhabitants, we go there very often, and they collect plants from there, and chances of sustenance in our area is minimal. While if they actually establish those silviculture there, those important plant species could be saved before
yeah.
they become extinct.
More than 500 species recorded in 200 square kilometer is a good work,
Sir.
and you can use next time in presentation. Use one slide for climatic data that will give
Climate.
you roughly idea for us what kind of vegetation could exist there. So,
As these are the very common, sir, I actually omitted this.
no,
Sorry,
we are
sir.
from
I
south.
will.
We are
Ah,
from south,
okay,
so
okay,
it
okay.
is this is a plain in Gangetic plain above area above.
It's a
So above the
typical,
Ganges,
sir.
so that it will be good for us also, right?
It's a typical, sir, climate for tropical dry deciduous
Dry
forest
deciduous.
area.
Yeah, you
Yes,
could see the dry deciduous. Yeah.
uh, because you
Thank
can
you.
both.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
And
Thank you, sir.
it gives me very good opportunity to see our Ansaris are also after a long time.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. हाँ सर
Yes.
सर thank you sir. कैसे हैं
It
सर?
is it is
आप
a recent work between 2015 to 19. So
yes
the
sir.
latest work by you.
Yeah sir.
This is really, and you have given all the number of days, you have given number of specimen collected. Very honestly, you have given. Oh,
हाँ
22,000 photographs.
Yes.
20,
हाँ sir.
20. Yes.
I actually whenever I went to field I never waste my time, and people with me actually being fed up with my living with me sometimes.
Some element are Himalayan, you are telling.
हाँ sir.
Some element are,
Hmm.
I think, just maybe I see some one member was
Yes.
there. So,
Jasneriasis sir, Didymocarpus
ah,
pregnans is also there.
this is a Himalayan element.
And
Himalayan elements are is Kynomanthus and all this. I didn't
Yeah.
find any. I didn't find
Goshal,
any. Yes,
Goshal,
sir.
you check the nomenclature because Didymocarpus, most of them are now merged with Henkilia.
Sir, this has been changed to Microchirita.
Okay, again. Yes.
My God.
It's
That's
very dynamic, sir, nomenclature.
yes, that's so. Narayan Nair is also doing some molecular studies from NBRI.
Ha.
Uh,
Yes, sir.
Yeah, yeah. Thank
so,
you.
best of luck.
Thank you,
Very,
sir.
very
Thank you,
nice
sir.
very nice narration.
Yes.
Thank you, sir.
I mean, I'm
Dr.
very
Punyani,
happy. Very
Yes,
easily,
sir.
yes,
Dr.
very,
Punyani,
Pardon,
Yes.
yes.
sir?
Dr. Punyani, sir.
ठीक है, sir.
Ajo, best of luck.
Thank
Yes.
you, sir.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
All good
Please sum
wishes.
up. Please sum up.
Okay, okay, sir. Okay, sir. First of all, congratulations, Dr. Gosal, for your this very nice and wonderful information on the angiosperm flora of Betla National Park of Jharkhand through this
Thank you, sir.
presentation.
Thank you, sir.
And
Thank you.
I'm being a botanist, I am also very much impressed by your presentation, because you have covered all these things which is required. You pointed out all these rare and endangered species also. Then
Thank you, sir.
roughly you have spent your time 100 days in a field, and
Yes.
from this you have collected about 2500 specimen, and
Yes.
this come to the after identification, this reaches nearly to the 500 species with 351 genera.
Excluding, sir, pteridophytes.
Pteridophytes I have not seen.
Not declared.
And I have actually excluded those pteridophytes. I
Okay.
just, that's why I have given those.
Okay.
Yeah, yes, sir.
Yes. So, and very nice to see the beauty of superba, that is climber, which is
Yeah,
growing
yes.
in your area. And as you mentioned that it is tropical dry deciduous forest.
Yes, sir.
So, very nice to see this floristic diversity of this Betla National Park. Then you
Yes.
have also recorded some very beautiful orchids also from your
Yes, sir.
area. So
Yes, sir.
that is very nice to see. And Dioscorea species which are common to the this area, generally to the dry deciduous forest, that you have also collected.
Yes,
And
sir.
I am very much impressed that you have also shown this instrument to extract the oil from the mahua fruit.
Yeah, thank you, sir.
This is
This is very, that was
really,
very interesting, sir. That,
really very nice one. And
thank you,
you
sir.
have also mentioned new genera, that is Solvia and Brainia retusa. So overall, I'm very much impressed by your presentation,
Thank
and
you, sir.
thank you very much for your presentation. And I'm thankful to Dr. Skand Misra sir for giving me opportunity as a in this in this session as a chair. Thank you, sir. Thank you all.
Thank you. Thank you
Thank
very much,
you,
sir. Thank you very much.
Dr. Punjani,
Yes, sir.
Dr. P.P. Bhosal sir, Dr. Pandurangan sir, Dr. Anish Ahmed sir, for today talk. Tomorrow, sir, tomorrow session is start on 11 p.m. First talk on Anirudh Majumdar.
11
And sir, tomorrow is the valedictory session at
Yes.
the 3 p.m. Mr. Alok Kumar, Chief Wildlife Warden of Madhya Pradesh, as a chief guest, and our senior persons and sessional chairperson are a special guest at that ceremony. So please join at 11 a.m. for starting the session, and valedictory session 3 to 4:30 p.m.
Okay.
3 to 4:30 p.m. So, and sir, Manoj Borkar sir, hello. Manoj Borkar sir.
हाँ जी सर जी बताइए
हाँ सर, ये जो मैं
जी सर
प्रोग्राम कर रहा हूँ सर, तो अभी गोवा का कोई भी प्रेजेंटेशन मैं नहीं करवा पाया सर, पूरे ऑल इंडिया का हो
कोई
गया।
दिक्कत नहीं है सर
हाँ, गोवा
जी सर
अरे जनार्दन है वहाँ पे।
हाँ जी प्रोफेसर डॉक्टर साहब प्रोफेसर जनार्दनम was the interim vice chancellor until 3 days ago and he's a fantastic botanist.
We were in Coimbatore together.
अपना नंबर हमको
हाँ जी सर
Yes.
हाँ जी सर
Pandurangan, Michael, Janaardanan.
जी सर जी सर
See, Manoj, Dr. Janardhan, and he is my batchmate. Actually, he served with me.
Oh, wonderful.
Of India.
Sir, he was my vice chancellor. Sir, he was my vice chancellor recently.
Yeah, I know. He was in charge. He was holding charge also.
जी सर जी
मनोज
जी
सर,
सर
हमारा फोन नंबर आपके पास है क्या? हमारा फोन नंबर
मैं दे दूंगा सर आई विल सेंड इट टू यू
ईमेल आईडी आप अपना नंबर हमको बता दें सर।
हाँ जी
Dr.
सर आई विल जस्ट
Dr. Mishra, you have sent some invitation tomorrow. I have some talk.
हाँ, yes sir.
Okay, that's what I'm asking. I have to prepare, sir. Some
Yes, 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 sir.
special address.
Yes, sir. A special address, chief guest, and 3 and 4 special guest.
Okay.
Give their views, sir.
And hope I will see tomorrow our Ansari sir also.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
6 days is enough.
मनोज बोरकर साहब, सर आपका नंबर हमको चाहिए.
सर हमने चैट बॉक्स में ऑलरेडी डाल दिया है सर.
अच्छा, अच्छा.
In fact, myself, Janardhan, I am a senior to him. When we were working,
Right.
Dr. Ansari sir was actually as a scientist in the POSAF project, actually.
Right, sir. Right, sir.
Yeah.
He is a very respected botanist and a teacher in Goa. Very respected and popular.
Very recently, I had one interview also. I heard.
I also heard.
Yes.
I heard. 1 hour.
No, these are all actually, we are all from Botanical Survey of India. So
Yes,
all
sir. Yes, sir. Yes.
credit goes to our parent organization.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for giving us a chance to, kind of relive all the good old days. Thank you, Government College Riva.
Yes.
बहुत धन्यवाद. बहुत धन्यवाद.
Thank you. Thank you, Dr.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, all of you, sir. Thank you.
Yes. Okay. Have a good night. Great day.